Hi, this is James Shug at Westpac with the end of day report for Friday, October the 7th. Two main stories in town today. The European morning session was dominated by the ratings agencies' downgrades of banks. Moody's downgraded, I think, 9 banks in Portugal, 12 in the UK, including a couple of the big banks and several notches as well. The Franco-Belgian bank Dexia also had another downgrade there. It's been broken up because of the problems it's experienced recently. It's not really news in a sense. I mean, we know that the European banking system has issues related to exposure to the European sovereigns. In the UK, there's speculation that there'll be less government support forthcoming in any future crises to the UK banks. And that was one of the factors cited by the agency Moody's as being behind the downgrades. Nevertheless, it did have an impact on equity markets earlier on, until we had at lunchtime in Europe, the release of the US jobs report for September. I got to admit to being surprised. We were expecting a weak report. It wasn't really. It's certainly a lot stronger than we had anticipated. I'll just give you some numbers on that. The September payroll jobs increase was 103,000. Unemployment was steady at 9.1%, but the separate survey that you used to calculate unemployment, it showed a second very strong jobs growth number as well. Back to the payrolls figure, the figures for July and August were revised up by a total of 99,000. So effectively we found out about 200,000 new payroll jobs today. Half of them in September and half spread between July and August. Now, even though that sounds impressive, the average pace of jobs growth through the third quarter is now 96,000, pretty much the same as the 97,000 in the second quarter, but way down on 166,000 back in the first quarter of this year. And if you adjust for a strike at Verizon, which saw its workers drop out of the payroll in August and back in September, and a government shutdown in Minnesota in July, which saw government workers there drop out and then re-enter in April. If you adjust for those distortions, even through the third quarter, you still get a slowdown in the labour market. The July, August, September numbers adjusted for those distortions would be 150,000, 79,000 and 58,000. So the US labour market is still weak. It's still not generating anywhere near enough jobs to pull unemployment below 9%. It's just that today's number was better than expected, and that the release of those figures saw a big jump in those equity markets that were trading, and certainly on the futures market in the US as well. However, it didn't really last, and so I'm going to run through where markets are at the moment. It's just coming up to 5 o'clock in London. We've got the FTSE up just 0.25%. We've got the French market up 0.66%, and the German market up 0.5%. Another story to mention related to the banks in Europe, I forgot, is that we're hearing reports that Angela Merkel and Nicolas Sarkozy, the German and French leaders, are starting to argue already, or have significant disagreement about exactly how this recapitalisation of the European banks should proceed. We've heard that it's going to happen, that something is afoot, plans are being pulled together to develop a mechanism to shield the banks in Europe if there were to be a significant further deterioration in the finances of the sovereigns. But apparently now there's a disagreement about how that recapitalisation should actually proceed. All not very helpful for markets. So despite the good news on American jobs, it was difficult for markets really to post strong gains today. The Dow in the US has been very choppy there today as well. Positive territory, negative territory. But the Dow is currently up 0.4%. The Standard & Poor's 500 index, the broader measure, is down 0.2% at the moment. The Nasdaq's down 0.7%. So again, strong jobs numbers, not much impact from them other than temporarily. In commodity markets, we saw some okay gains there. Sugar prices for you Queenslanders up 3.4%. Copper prices are up almost 2% today. Crude oil's up 0.2% at $83.11 a barrel, and gold is unchanged at $1,653 an ounce. The US jobs numbers did give the Aussie dollar about a 1 cent boost on their release. What's good for the US economy is good for global growth, therefore good for the Aussie dollar. That was the rationale today, and the Aussies held on to that gain at this stage. It's at 98.4 US cents at the moment. All right, I'll leave it there. That's the end of the day, end of the week, and we'll speak to you again next week. Ciao.